everybody, and welcome back to Imagineering Behind the Dreams. I'm Jonathan Friday, and so excited to welcome you back to center stage, where we're going to hear from some more incredible Imagineers today. And today we're talking all about landscape architecture. So as you stroll through a Disney theme park, you're surrounded by the world of landscape architects. They're the people who are responsible for the hardscape and the planting and the structural engineering, the area development, and a lot more. They do research, they do illustrations, color studies. Landscape architects help create the environments that allow us to step from today into worlds of yesterday, tomorrow, and fantasy. And today we're joined by two amazing landscape architects. Would you please help me welcome to the stage Andy Chu and Angie Song. Welcome, guys. So just to introduce you briefly, Angie Song has most recently completed the area development work transformation project at World Celebration, including Journey of Water, inspired by Moana. Angie was also a designer on past projects, including Fantasyland at the Shanghai Disneyland Resort, where she actually moved to spend 3.5 years working on that project. She also worked on Cars Land right here at Disney California Adventure, has taught at Cal Poly State University Pomona, and is currently working on new and exciting assignments right here at the Disneyland Resort. Angie Song, everybody! And next to Angie, Andy graduated from Cal Poly Pomona with a Bachelor of Science in Landscape Architecture. In 2011, he joined Walt Disney Imagineering to contribute to the design and development of Adventure Isle and Treasure Cove at Shanghai Disneyland. Following his work in Shanghai, Andy joined the Tokyo team focused on early development of a lot of projects for Tokyo, including the project that we now know as Fantasy Springs. Over the next decade, Andy would play a really pivotal role leading that team and also moving his family to Japan to complete that project. So would you help me welcome Andy Chu? All right, I have a lot of questions. We're going to see how many we get through. Angie, maybe you just want to start us off with basics. What is a landscape architect, and what do you think about when you're thinking about how you lay out an entire land?
Well, Jonathan, at Walt Disney Imagineering, landscape architects compose and shape the environment that brings stories to life, crafting everything that we can see. We define the character, the magnitude of the spaces, as our scope of work is pretty much, it encompasses all elements external to the facilities. Now, understanding the site is really critical when we start to iterate. We iterate countless layouts. It's important for us to know what exists within, above, below, around, adjacent to the lands that we develop. And I think it's, that way it helps us to prepare a canvas for the teams to facilitate the sequence of the guest experience by composing and positioning components, and it establishes the mood that we set through a lot of ongoing dialogue with the creative teams. Developing a site plan is really, it takes a lot of intent. We have to fulfill a lot of requirements that our stakeholders require, right? But by establishing that nature and scale of the space and engineering those views and grounding the spectacular architecture on the rockwork, we set that stage for our guests to experience, go on their adventures, and we try our darndest to take your breath away.
And you do. I think as a guest, what I often don't appreciate is just how many versions of a land you're laying out over and over. We only see one of those at the end of the day. Sometimes those lands are based on stories that are original. Sometimes they're based on stories that we've seen on a screen somewhere. Angie, you recently worked on projects where you were bringing to life stories that have been told in a movie theater. How do you think about taking something from the cinema and making it real in an actual environment?
So, we start, with the movie, right? That's where we go for inspiration from the very beginning. Whether it's Frozen, Moana, Cars Land, we watch these movies for, as you all do, right? You're paying attention, and we are going to those movies for the finest detail. Sometimes we travel to those places as well. So we'll do research trips to those locations that inspired the film, and just to make sure that we're being authentic to the story.
Did you go to Norway for Fantasy Springs?
I did. I don't like to tell people that.
That's amazing, just the amount of thought that you go into making a film location feel real. It's incredible.
And so, we're building on that information of the movie, and we're building layers of complexity as we go through those iterations. And ultimately we build these worlds to life and what the guest experience every day.
That's awesome. Angie, as you're designing these places, unlike in a movie, you have to build in an actual environment. You have weather and climate and a lot of other complicated things. How do you start to approach all of those pieces together?
That's right, Jonathan. We do try to get to all kinds of different local projects and sites, and regardless of the area, it's really the plants that really bring that uniqueness to the place. And procuring plant material is really great endeavor. And a lot of times what we'll do is we'll work with the local experts and consult the horticulturalists there, so that we are choosing those plant palettes together, right? And making sure that the creative vision and what we intend is really specific to those places.
I know you have a story to tell us about trees. So I know nothing about planting. I have no green thumb. What goes into just putting a tree in a land? Tell me about what that entails.
Well, I'll give you an example. On Disney's Animal Kingdom project, we actually moved trees around the site. We actually found some trees that were over 50 feet tall, right, in an old tree yard in Magic Kingdom, and we framed it overnight over the monorail to make sure that they were planted correctly at the type of overlook. And we do fun things like that. We do things where we might actually work with some experts to say, what would plants look like if they came from another world, right? And then that sort of sparks that enthusiasm and excitement, and we get propagators to think about, maybe thinking about a unique species that we would never find, and maybe find it later. So,
wait, what is a propagator?
Okay, a plant propagator can make new plants with seeds or parts of a plant and put it together and make a new plant.
So you're not only painting from a palette of plants that we know, you're also sometimes inventing new stuff.
That's right.
That's incredible. And sometimes that landscape becomes a part of the attraction itself, right? It's not always just the front door. Sometimes it is the attraction. Andy, you most recently worked on a project that involved putting plants as part of an attraction. Can you tell me a little bit more about what that process was like?
Sure. So these are some of the photos from Tinkerbell Busy Buggies, which was recently opened in Disney City, Tokyo Disney City. Anytime that we have an attraction, indoor and outdoor, there's a multitude of systems and things overlapping to kind of create the ultimate product. Anytime the area development is involved in that process, it makes our job more difficult, but also that much more rewarding. So in this attraction, you can see how complex it is just from the photographs, right? We have hardscape, we have railing, we have show set, we have architecture, ride, lighting. So all these different disciplines are coming together to ultimately create the attraction that we see here. Our work is always greater when we do these outdoor attractions, and it always has the most rewarding experience for us because of how much collaboration there is with the other teams.
And those teams are huge, right? You're working with a lot of people to make that happen. And often you're doing it in another country, working long hours on a construction site. Maybe, Angie, I'm going to send this to you first. What's kind of the best part about being in the field, meaning on the construction site on a project?
I think it's being able to look at things that you've been only seeing on paper really coming to life and being built. And I think that's almost the best thing, right? To be able to see that.
Andy, same question to you. What's the best part about being out on the site?
So for me, it's the team, right? It's who we work with day in and day out. These projects are massive, and it takes it's the most talented people in the industry to pull these jobs off. And so you can just see the team here. This is just a portion of the team. But working with those teammates day in, day out, you learn from each other. And at the end of the day, you've got this amazing product to be proud of. So for me, it's the team.
And as you're working with that team, specifically as a landscape architect, what's the part about your role that you like the best, or maybe how that role is unique inside of Walt Disney Imagineering? Angie first, maybe.
I have to say everything, right? Like, that I love everything.
You love everything, absolutely.
And, I do love the big picture idea, because that is a lot of planning that we do, and we conceptualize and develop all of those ideas, and that's always super fun as well. But I think what we do unique at Walt Disney Imagineering is really paying attention to the details. The nitty-gritty details are, I think, what really makes a space immersive for our guests, and I think that's what I think is very unique, different from what we do outside of Walt Disney Imagineering.
Andy, same question. What's your favorite part about your role as a landscape architect?
So, same as Angie, right? Everything. It's a pretty amazing job. But I think for me, in addition, right, the ability to interact with, we have over 100 disciplines in Glendale, right, that we can collaborate with on a daily basis. We might have an idea that is something that is outside of our expertise, that we can walk down the hallway and interact with someone that is the expert and make sure, figure out a way to make that idea come to life. So I think having access to all the talented people on a day, every day is pretty fortunate position.
Well, and as someone who has worked with both of you, you are among those talented people who are amazing collaborators and funny and fun and all those things too. Yeah, give them applause for that.
You have to see that though, right?
Last question, if there's someone in the crowd who's thinking someday I'd like to find myself at Walt Disney Imagineering, can you give us just like one small piece of advice at how that dream might come true someday? Angie, can I start with you?
Well, I can start off by saying how I got here, I guess. I got
Perfect.
to Walt Disney Imagineering. I studied landscape architecture, but that doesn't have to be the route. We have a lot of colleagues that have studied art, and other design disciplines, other design areas. But I graduated, and the summer that I graduated, I went to a Saturday class that a landscape contractor was holding, and they were holding these classes to talk about plants, and I met a planner there that offered me my first job at an engineering firm, and they said, hey, come and work here, and you can work on local parks, right? So I got excited, got there, and a few months in, they said, hey, we're working to partner with Walt Disney Imagineering, working on Disney California Adventure. Would you like to go? And I said, oh my gosh, how could I refuse? So that's how that was the first time I came to Walt Disney Imagineering. And ever since then, I've been on a few projects and I've left and come back. This is actually my 4th time back. And I think the reason that I do keep coming back is because of people like Jonathan and Andy, and it's just amazing. Incredible people that I get to work with. So I recommend just going out there and love plants, love hardscape.
Find the thing that you love. Andy, tell me a little bit about your story, just how you got to Imagineering and advice you give for someone who might want to see themselves there someday.
So my story is a little different, maybe a little unconventional. I started with an internship in high school with a landscape architecture firm. And I was there for 8 years through college. Shortly after college, we had, Shanghai Disneyland was expanding, so that was back in 2011. And so they were looking to bring people on, and I was lucky enough to get an interview. And in the interview, I was told, 6 months is what they could offer, and it was, it wasn't the best offer, but that 16 months turned into 13 years. Every day it's been a great career, and I can't really picture myself anywhere else. And I would say that once you find the passion of what we do, the job itself really is something that just kind of it's in the background, right? It's not a job. It's just something that you love to do.
That's amazing. Well, thank you both for bringing that to us every day at Walt Disney Imagineering and bringing it to all of us here at D23, the Ultimate Creative Event. You're going to be back 15 minutes right here on the center stage with more Imagineers. As we say goodbye for now, would you please help me thank Angie Song and Andy Chu.